Hello, thank you for watching. I'm prompted to do this video after the debacle of what they're calling an interview with the tyrant in Russia. It wasn't an interview, it was a propaganda expression and opportunity for the tyrant, the civilian mass murderer, and he took full advantage of a very weak, a very blinded, morally blinded, glory hound, Tucker Carlson. Now, I want to say that the reason all this has happened is people being like Tucker and like Perilous World Radio, that used to be Roy Masters, wonderful, the best radio talk show in history ever, so unique, so intuitive. It's been taken over by Alan Masters, and it's a shell of its former self. And he went on and on praising Putin, again, Trump, of course, and Tucker. So the reason why this is happening, I just want to preface, is because it's the actions of the false conscience. It's the very same thing in the garden, that the reason, the knowledge of good and evil, that's why that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was, God told them not to eat. And it's the same thing repeating itself if we're not saved by the light of Jesus. And it's an intellect that sounds like the truth, and it sounds like us. Oftentimes it could sound like us talking to ourselves or talking the truth in our head to somebody that's not there. That's all pride inducing. It's all false conscience. And that's why all these fools are falling for this propaganda scheme by Putin. And it's why they fall for a lot of things, and including Trump being a false conservative. All these people have fallen into this trap of the false knowledge of good, and it sounds like good in their head, But the common sense of truth is just seen. It's just a light. It's like It's almost like you don't know until you express it, like I am here, because you don't pre-think it. And now the false conscience may speak it in your head of what you see silently. That doesn't mean it's to be followed. It's just trying to hijack and fool you. So the wise, learn this over time. And the Roy Masters meditation on YouTube, I'll put a link to it, is the solution. It's just very basic silent prayer. People all over the world will find it. A silent type of separating from that knowledge of good and evil, even without the Roy Masters method. But it makes it a lot more effective. Although these fools, yes, I'm going to call them fools, at the foundation now and that radio show, are misusing it, because you can use it with false pretenses, with using an effort with it, which actually makes you worse. It makes you more hypnotized to the sins of the world. And that's what they're doing. Otherwise, this stuff would be so clear. Roy, would see it obviously. So now I'm going to go into, I took some notes and I'll try to make this brief. Alan Masters was saying, I think Tucker, speaking of Tucker Carlson, I think he was firm, strong, gutsy, pointing out the interview with the KGB tyrant, found Putin's history interesting. He's the bad guy. He's not completely an unreasonable person, Mike Jones was saying. He's very wise in his words. He's talking about Putin. Again, the interview with Tucker Carlson. Putin would not put anyone down. Again, Alan Masters speaking about Putin as though he's this noble person. He was very in control. Clearly, Ukraine has lost, Mike says. We need to get back to common sense. A quote from Alan about what Putin said. He looked and sounded pretty sane. What I saw was not a boogeyman. That's Alan Masters, okay? Billions and billions for this war, and it's none of our business, Alan Masters, talking about the Ukraine defensive war. They are defending their nation. Let's get that clear. They're defending an aggression. And Alan's saying, it's none of our business now. Putin shining better than any of our politicians. Again, that's Alan Masters. Today, Friday morning, February 9th. He praises Trump business as he praises Trump afterwards. Yeah. So then he went into praising Trump. So first of all, I'm going to put a link to a 3-minute video. Please watch it in the description, and it's going to show the flat out lies that Putin said that were unchallenged by Tucker at all, including 22 arrested journalists in Russia. Some of them probably are dead now. I know of a book also, and it's, I forgot the title of it, by Anna. She was murdered by Putin's thugs for exposing year after year so much corruption. And it shows in there something like, and I'm sure it's much more now, 47 journalists or people who were opposing Putin dead. We know this. It's been reported. There were 2 famous expatriates in Russia that fled to England. Remember, it was in the news, and they got poisoned by plutonium, dead by Putin. Now we have many, many journalists in jail by Putin. For what? For expressing how it's wrong to go into a nation. And it shows in that video, and it's a fact that Putin and his stormtroopers attacked Ukraine. That's not in dispute. Yet Tucker didn't confront him on that lie that they didn't attack Ukraine. This BS about Nazis, denazification. Look at the facts. Every nation has idiot Nazis. They're very marginalized in the United States, in Ukraine. I'm not so sure about Russia, because look at how it's being run. Look at what they're doing. They're bombing towns day after day. Civilians. They're targeting civilians. It's in the news. You can see it being reported. Innocent people being slaughtered, targeted, massive war crimes. That's how the communists have always fought since World War II. It's to intimidate the population to give up and get taken over by these tyrants who then take, rob, steal, rape their businesses and federalize them and take over their nation. Ukraine has some freedom now from the communist way. They're not giving it up. It's a very noble thing that they're doing. Obviously, they're fighting. Mike says they lost. Look at the military map. There's a number of military veterans doing daily Ukraine updates. There's objective military maps showing the amount of territory that Russia has been pushed back from. They got kicked out of Kyiv. They are winning. Yes, Russia has taken over a certain amount of territory, but they were pushed back from a majority of it. They're winning, Mike, you idiot. Sorry, but you are a buffoon. If you're not even going to stand for a noble people standing up for their lives, for their rights to be free as, it much more free than Russia, much less corrupt. Russia is basically run like a mafia state. I'm going to put links of these books. Putin's Prisoner by Aiden, who was recently let out because they swapped him with a much wanted Russian dude who was evil. So they swapped him. He was on the Ukrainian side, a former British man, but lived in Ukraine. They tortured him. They torture their POWs. There's eyewitness accounts of it in the book. They clubbed a poor POW to death. That's what they do. Ukraine doesn't do that. United States doesn't do that to POWs. That's their whole part of their military way they are. Killer in the Kremlin is another book I'm going to put a link in. You're going to get a real good view of the history of Putin. Chechnya slaughtered whole towns, women, children, men. Took it over. Georgia stole it, murdered a bunch of civilians, took it over. Crimea made up this false lie again, like he's doing now with so-called denazification. Took it over. Now he's trying to take over Ukraine. Now he's getting pushed back. Finally, thank God. And these idiots on our side are siding with him, wittingly or not. I've never seen anything like it. They're behaving like leftists, and they're supposed to be conservative. They're not conservative. They're conservatives, and they needed to wake up. What you guys have done to the right wing is pathetic, and you, Tucker, you're a fool. You're an appeasing twerp numbskull. It's a shame. It's a damn shame, and you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And Alan said, oh, all these billions that are going to lavish houses and stuff that we're sending to Ukraine. Russia, it's known, you could find out, they have propaganda farms spewing out this stuff for people like Alan to believe, so that hopefully there's enough pressure so the United States would stop sending armament. The money is armaments. We're sending armaments. We're not sending cash money to them to, to be used. It's armaments. It's very, very detailed over there. They're very careful with it too. I mean, that can be found out. Alan is such a he's so malleable. It's really sad, because all this stuff can be found out. Ukraine is fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their families. They're fighting for their businesses. They're not going to go and squander, what's been given to them. They're using effectively to defend their freedom and their nation. And they're doing a fabulous job. I keep up on it daily, and I'm so grateful for that. And how these people who call themselves conservative cannot see the obvious on this. And they don't see the obvious on Trump's collusion with the pharma genocide that's happening, that's real, that's mounting. And Trump is silent. He could care less, because he had a lot to do with it, and he still does by remaining silent. And even still calling them lifesavers. We are in Revelations, guys. It started in 2021 with the clot shots. And, it's time to wake up, man. You guys are playing games with the devil without even realizing it. And, I'm just so grateful for the silent light that I'm expressing now that's not silent, but it's not, I don't play with it in my head, using the intellect to express it as though that's real. And it's what you guys are doing. And what happens is it's devoid of moral right and wrong. And that's what's happened to Tucker. And you guys you idolize Tucker and Trump, and it's really bad. So anyway, I'm going to be quiet now, put a bunch of links in there, and God bless you, and stop screwing around with your head, will you? Take care.